Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Chris. This video was requested. I've been having a lot of issues today. I had a power go out just as soon as I was about to start this. Then I had to redo everything from my recording software. Had to redo the green screen. It had just been a pain. But before we get started, this was requested by the way. Before we get started, bare minimum, if you could do that. Look, see me doing this? Completely free. There's no charge. Bare minimum, if you could do that, I need those. If you want to see what else I'm doing, there you go. And if you want to support the channel because you think that this was worthy enough and you want to see if I continue, then click here and donate to the channel. All right? Now, this is going to be words and in 1937. And then that's the person who said it. I feel pretty confident with that. All right, we're going to roll with this. Did I say this was requested? I think I started off with that. It was requested. My name's Chris. If you could bear me... All right, we're not doing that again. All right. Oh, by the way, 33 minutes. They're not going to get me like they did last time. Okay. So this will be two 15-minute videos. Okay? That's how I distract you to start the video. You didn't even see it coming. This is the turning point for existence or obliteration. Well, okay. 1937. Oh, this is lead. Okay. World War II was 1939, correct? So, yeah, this is... Okay, so this is leading into World War II. Okay. So this makes sense because I remember doing some of the... I didn't finish the Japan series. I got a lot with Kings and Generals. I remember Japan did a lot of killing in China. Well, they did a lot of killing basically on that whole side. So Japan was quite the force. And this would have probably been one of the start of Japan's dominance in this Eastern Asian Pacific kind of stuff. So this makes sense.
China, 1937. Tensions have been rising on the border with Manchukuo, a puppet state run by an increasingly militaristic Japan. So far, China's nationalist leader, Chiang Kai-shek, has carefully avoided a major confrontation. His strategy has been to buy time, to eliminate his internal communist enemies first. But bowing to it...
He's the one who was kidnapped, right? Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Increasing anti-Japanese sentiment across China, he has concluded a truce with the communists.
That truce was because of the kidnapping.
On the 7th of July, at the Polo Bridge outside Peking, there's an argument over a missing Japanese soldier, and shots are fired. Within days, Japanese reinforcements flood the area. But this time, China is ready to push back. In a speech made 10 days after the Polo Bridge incident, Chiang Kai-shek warns of the struggle ahead.
Okay, stupid question. Why is he giving a speech? Shouldn't it have been Mao? Or is... Well, Mao was a farmer. Probably didn't want the limelight. Maybe. Or was he the more established name in terms of outsiders looking in on China? He's giving a speech, they would be more apt to listen, as opposed to Mao, who they might look at as the guy who's trying to take over his spot, and maybe they don't support him. And I understand that with him giving the speech, it is still speaking for Mao at the same time, because they both come together to fight Japan. But I would just figure it would be Mao doing this. I don't know.
Our people fully understand the meaning of the limit of endurance and the scale of sacrifice implied. For once that stage is reached, we can only sacrifice and fight to the bitter end. The national mood is summed up by a popular song, March of the Volunteers. In 1978, March of the Volunteers will become China's official national anthem.
That's kind of crazy that their national anthem didn't come about till 1978. They've been a country for so long. I understand heavily split and stuff like that, but that's crazy to me. Huh.
The fighting around Peking rapidly escalates into a full-scale invasion. Some historians consider this the moment World War II begins. Chiang Kai-shek's National Revolutionary Army, the NRA, is in the unusual position of receiving support from both the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany. But
Okay, question. Were the Soviets giving them support because they had a an agreement with the CCP, which was communist? Or were they going to support them regardless, even though they would have been fighting the Communist Party of China? And number two, wasn't Japan allies with Germany, but I'm guessing they weren't allies yet? So it blows my mind that they would be supporting an ally, or supporting a country fighting an ally. Is it because there was a little bit of racism in it, that Germany was wanting to kind of thin them out a little bit just in case he had to fight them? That just seems weird to me. Because if they're your ally, you would want them strong, especially if you're going to try to Sieg Heil all over the world for total domination. You want your allies to help you out.
it's not enough to hold back the Japanese Imperial Army. With superior tactics, modern equipment, and air superiority, they smash through Chinese defenses. Within 6 weeks, nearly 200,000 Japanese troops have occupied a broad swathe of northern China, including the old imperial capital, Peking. But it's in Shanghai that both sides will plunge into the abyss. Shanghai is the largest city in China, and its commercial and cultural capital. The heart of the city is the International Settlement, established by Western imperial powers in the 19th century, and jointly run by 14 countries, including Japan. The Japanese have recently overtaken the British as the largest foreign presence in Shanghai, with 30,000 civilians, as well as 8,000 Marines and 32 naval vessels. Chiang Kai-shek sees an opportunity to divert the Japanese from their northern offensive, while also bringing the war to international attention. On the 13th of August, he orders Chinese forces to attack Japanese ships moored in Shanghai. The Japanese send reinforcements. Shanghai and the surrounding region become a major battlefront, drawing in 1 million troops. The city is devastated in fierce urban fighting, with tanks on the streets, poison gas attacks, and air raids. The NRA suffers heavy losses, particularly to its elite German-trained divisions. In late October, it begins to withdraw. A single battalion is left behind to hold the Sihang warehouse.
What's special about this warehouse?
In desperate fighting, the Suicide Battalion holds out for 6 precious days. Buying time for other units to escape. Their sacrifice and the horrors of the battle occur directly under the gaze of foreign observers based in Shanghai's international settlement, where they are shielded from the worst of the fighting. Their images and reports quickly travel around the world and turn Western public opinion firmly against the Japanese. But what happens next will shock the world.
Yeah, I've heard of this one. Every country. December 30th. That was only a month? I thought it was longer. Well, 2 months? I thought it was longer than that. Every country has something in its history that it regrets. Some more than others, sure. But I'm sure this is not a high point. In even to the Japanese people today, I would say this is probably not their finest moment they would agree with.
Japanese forces pursue the retreating NRA to the new nationalist capital, Nanking. After a ferocious 4-day battle, they enter the city on the 13th of December. The few Westerners inside the city form an international safety zone to shelter themselves and some of the local population. But most Chinese civilians are left to the mercy of the Japanese. For 6 weeks, Japanese soldiers go on the rampage, looting, torturing, raping, and murdering. The numbers are disputed, but between 50,000 and 300,000 civilians are killed. Around 30,000 Chinese prisoners of war are shot in mass executions. Others are decapitated, or buried alive, or used for bayonet practice. Bodies are piled up in the streets, burned, and dumped in the Yangtze River. The International Safety Zone is managed by German businessman and Nazi supporter John Rabe. He is appalled by the violence and hopes Hitler will intervene to stop the Japanese. Instead, the fall of Nanking convinces the Nazis that Japan is the stronger partner, and Germany cuts off its military support to China.
Okay, so they were playing both sides and see. Okay. Wow. That's the reason you're just kind of like, oh no, Japan's willing to do it, so yeah, go for them. They're willing to commit atrocities. So we definitely want them on our side. That's crazy. Wow.
The rape of Nanking appalls the world. It is condemned by the USA and League of Nations, the international body dedicated to maintaining world peace. But their words are not backed up by action. Atrocities become a feature of the Japanese war against China. The systematic use of rape as a weapon of war, forced prostitution on a massive scale, and the use of chemical and biological weapons on civilians and prisoners of war, which killed many thousands. The Japanese army's next objective is Wuhan. There is a rare Chinese victory at the Battle of Taiyuan, but it is not enough to halt the Japanese. Chiang Kai-shek's government makes a desperate and fateful decision. The order is given to breach dikes holding back the Yellow River at Huayuankou. The hope is that the floods will stop the Japanese army in its tracks. In early June, the floodwaters of the Yellow River surge south and east across the densely populated North China Plain. There has been no advance warning to the villages and towns in its path. The consequences are catastrophic. Farmland and entire villages are submerged. 500,000 civilians perish. 5 million are made homeless. The loss of farmland will cause famine and hardship for years to come.
Stalin once said, one death is a tragedy, a million deaths is a statistic. And you're throwing out all these numbers. And 5 million, 500,000, 50 to 300,000. And you're just, I'm just thinking, okay, 5 million. Okay, well that's what? That's, I don't know, LA? 50,000, that's half of my city of Peoria. And you can't put the numbers. It really just does become a statistic. You're just hearing these numbers and it's like, I can't compute that because it's so many deaths. And you become numb to the numbers. And it's sad to say that, but it's an honest statement. You hear all these numbers and you're just like, 5 million. But every one was important to somebody, loved by somebody, related to somebody. And 5 million people die. How many other people were affected because of that loss? Just the loss, not the fact of the war, just the loss. Another 5 million, 10 million. It's like a tree, and these are the deaths. The trunk of the tree is the deaths, and all the branches are everyone else that's affected. And you're just looking at this solid thing, and you're thinking, okay, that's the deaths, but here's everything else that's affecting it, that's affected by it. And it becomes so difficult to comprehend because it's so massive.
One of the greatest man-made disasters in history, committed by the Chinese government against its own people. The floods failed to stop the Japanese, who merely bypassed the affected areas.
That's even worse.
By the time Chinese and Japanese forces...
Real fast, I'm going to go back. Just so we're clear. If I'm in this room and I have to make this decision, and the chances are good that I can wipe out a big swath of my enemy, and yes, I'm going to lose my own people, we can repopulate that area with our own people. But we need to get the invaders out. I'm 99.9999999999999 infinity % sure I do the exact same thing. And I just told you how terrible it is. I would probably do the exact same thing. So I'm not looking at him in this situation as what a monster. How could you do that? Because I honestly think I would do the same thing. I would be capable of doing it, because killing the enemy and getting them out of our country is more important. We can repopulate it. War is hell. Our own people will die. That's a terrible thing to say. But I could see myself in that position doing the exact same thing. So if he's evil, would I be evil? If I'm doing it for the greater good, and I believe that my principles would be correct. Now, after it's done and it had pretty much no effect, I would want to kill myself because of what I did to my people that did not kill my enemy. So does that make me evil? Decisions you make are just... yeah.
areas. By the time Chinese and Japanese forces clash near Wuhan, there are nearly 2 million men engaged. The battle for the city is hard fought, with heavy losses on both sides. But once again, Japanese air power and tactics, alongside the widespread use of poison gas, prove decisive. The city falls after 4 months. The nationalist government retreats 500 miles further inland, to Chongqing, in the western province of Sichuan. The Japanese now occupy China's largest cities and install a new puppet government in Nanking. But despite its victories, the Japanese army is too exhausted to land another major blow. The war enters a stalemate. Historians label this conflict the Second Sino-Japanese War. The Chinese call it the War of Resistance. But it is about to become a crucial front in a world war.
I'm going to try it for a third time. As the rising sun melts thinly frozen ice, so the Japanese army is overcoming Chinese troops. I don't know what the second... Is it just trying to understand? The Japanese army in this would be the rising sun. Chinese troops would be the thinly frozen ice. So they're just going right through them. That's how I'm taking it in my head, but I just want to make sure I'm correct.
By 1939, China's only major foreign backer is the Soviet Union. It provides crucial supplies, and its pilots and aircraft make up most of the nationalist air force. The Soviets are fighting their own war against Japan, a widely forgotten conflict on Russia's Far Eastern frontier. But that summer, with war looming in Europe, Stalin makes a truce with Japan. It is signed on the 15th of September. 2 days later, Soviet troops invade Poland as allies of Nazi Germany. Despite losing its major foreign ally, China fights on against the Japanese occupation. Chongqing becomes a nationalist redoubt, pummeled by more than 200 Japanese air raids. While in northern China, communists carry out large-scale guerrilla attacks on the Japanese. But all cooperation between communists and nationalists has once more been broken off. The nationalists now receive foreign arms and supplies via French Indochina, today Vietnam, Cambodia and Laos. So in 1940, Japan occupies French Indochina to cut the link. But this fresh act of Japanese imperialism alarms the Western powers, whose Southeast Asian colonies are now within range of Japanese forces. The US, Britain, and the Dutch impose an oil embargo on Japan, which threatens to cripple its economy and its war effort in China. The Western powers hope Japan will back down.
I was so into this, I completely forgot to stop. But we'll go back to there. The oil embargo, 1941. What's going to happen next? I know what America does. Pearl Harbor. Okay. Well, we're going to end this here. We'll be back with part 2. But until then, I need you to sit in your seat and wait for the next upload. Don't go anywhere. Don't go to work. Call in sick and just sit here and wait for part 2 coming up tomorrow. Till then, have a good day. Have a good night. Seriously, you got to wait. I need you to wait.